Hey all, my name's Shane Sexton. I'm still a cybersecurity instructor. In this video, we're going to take a look at cloud security, which is really important since more and more organizations are moving their resources to the cloud. So regardless of whether we're talking about public cloud resources like with AWS or private clouds, either on-prem or through service providers, we need to make sure that those cloud resources are as secure or more secure than any on-prem resources. So this is absolutely important to service providers since, again, more and more companies and hence more and more customers are moving their resources to the cloud. And the consequences of a breach are equally severe and sometimes more severe than on-prem resources. So it's definitely a major concern. And there are a number of different cloud attacks that are out there that you might see in the news. Data breaches are really common. Amazon S3 in particular has had a pretty rough time of it in the last couple of years. So just misconfigurations, for instance, of permissions can have a huge impact, which is actually the next one. And actually, these two are very closely related. When you're talking about S3 data breaches, most of that is from user misconfigurations. Access to backups. This is another attack that you might see or a threat to the cloud. If backups are accessible, then that might lead, well, essentially allow attackers to gain access to information that they shouldn't have access to, and it could lead to a huge exposure of information. And we've got plenty more attacks. The cloud gateway or the cloud console, the administrative console, if that gets compromised, if attackers can get into that, they can do whatever they want, destroy resources, spin up resources, mine Bitcoin. And of course, insider threats are going to be a concern regardless of really where what we're talking about, on-prem versus cloud. If you have an insider threat, they can absolutely cause a lot of damage. So best practices for cloud security: you need to identify the data that needs to be protected and maybe classify it and protect it according to its sensitivity, log things, monitor those logs, actually audit them. And using DLP can also be a big win with cloud resources, just try to make sure that sensitive data is not exposed. Uh, Use multiple layers of security, not just the cloud vendors' security mechanisms, but also on operating system or application-based security. Always encrypt wherever possible, whether we're talking in transit or at rest. Use least privilege, especially for cloud administrator accounts. Make sure that they are locked down to only what they need as far as privileges and permissions go. And when you do have incidents, one thing you don't want to do is figure out how to respond to them by the seat of your pants. You want to be ready, have your response ready, have documentation, have people trained. You don't want to be figuring this stuff out as you go. And then when the incident actually occurs, if you're properly prepared, you'll have more time to preserve evidence for analysis for law enforcement. Maybe even think about automating your response wherever possible. Maybe rolling back in an automated fashion to previous configurations. And practice is actually really important. Training and practice go hand in hand, but if it's just watching videos of some random cybersecurity instructor, that's not as good as getting hands-on practice. So getting some practice in is my number one recommendation, kind of regardless of what you are practicing. So that's it for cloud security. Once again, thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.